Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer, and we are very happy to have the documentary In the Rumbling Belly of Motherland at our Women's World Film Festival this year. And it's an honor for me to be connected to filmmaker Brishkay Ahmed. Hello, Brishkay. I'm very happy to have you here now and talk about your film.
Oh, thank you so much for having me talking to you. You're such an amazing and inspiring festival, and thank you for including the film.
First of all, Brishkay, can you please tell us briefly how the film came about and under what circumstances the film was made? Could you please take us with you?
Sure, yeah. So I think around 2018-ish, it was sort of the time that was just before the Taliban peace talks that was starting. There was sort of murmur around of what will happen to women and girls and their rights inside Afghanistan. If these talks went ahead, if they returned, what was going on? There was a lot of uncertainty. It was during this time also that there was a lot of uncertainty around my own mother's health. She was just suffering from cancer at that time. And for me, honestly, it felt like I was losing my mother and my motherland at the same time. It just felt like everything was going. So I returned back to Afghanistan. When I returned back there, I had found this women's news network that was filled with young women under 25. They were raised in the rebuilding phase of NATO. They were very hopeful. They were very connected to the global community, and they only saw every day as sort of hopeful because it was the rebuilding phase that they were born in and they were raised. So they didn't remember prior, what world was like prior to the rebuilding phase. So they're very optimistic and hardworking. And when I entered their space, I kind of knew this is what's at danger. This is what's most at risk. A women's news network with bright young journalists who are female, under 25, provocative and bold. This is what's at stake. This is who the Taliban would hate the most. I knew that. I didn't want to tell them that. They know very well that they are not going to be welcomed by the Taliban. So I just situated myself with them and decided to see what was going to happen. And then if you see the film, you kind of see what happens. How this news station, which begins very bustling and busy, shrinks to less and less staff. And in the end, you see a very defiant, 25-year-old speak to the camera and tell us exactly who she believes is at fault, what she has lost, and what the international community owes to her. So that's sort of the gist of it.
Thank you. Yeah. And now we have 2022, everything has changed completely. We know that. Yeah. And I would like to ask you how you look at your film now, at the moment, at this point of history.
Yeah. I look at the film in two ways. Well, one way is 3 of the women that you see in the film are in Canada with me now. So there's a lot of sorrow in that sense, because while making the film and spending time with them inside the news network, I didn't think they were going to be displaced. I didn't think that we were going to be gathered inside Canada in the same sort of province together. You know what I mean? It's great that we are, but it's also horrible that this is the circumstance, right? And so when I'm looking back at 2022 right now, there still is with me and also the women, because I talk to them and I see them, there still is a bit of anger and a discomfort about what's happened, a continuous every day, as more and more women and girls not allowed to return to school, as more bombings occur down there, as we get calls from friends who are women who are not able to sort of, give their livelihood. Of course, you can't help but get a little bit more angry. I'm happy about that because we don't want to be hopeless. Anger at least motivates you and gives you some energy to take action. And,
right.
Right?
Yes.
In many ways. So that's, and the women who are the journalists, right now they're very, very active on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook and Twitter. They still write, they still speak up, they still report for the women who are still there.
So they are still active. That's great
Yeah.
to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our film festival focuses on the human rights situation of women worldwide. And so I would like to ask you the next question. We all read the newspaper for sure, but from your perspective, what is an important message of the film that you wish our audience would take with it after watching the movie? Important message.
There's a lot of messages in there, but I think the most important message that would hopefully what the audience can get out and that will motivate them to continuously be advocates for Afghan women and girls, right, is that NATO includes a lot of countries, and it's very likely that the country and the ground that you're walking on participated in the rebuilding phase of Afghanistan. And your soldiers, men and women, and your governments spent a tremendous amount of money, right, to rebuild Afghanistan, mostly to empower women and girls. And today we're in a situation where they are not empowered. They have lost everything that they gained. And that also means that you've lost everything that you thought you were doing well, right? So I really hope that the message that you get out of this film is that you saw how far women and girls came inside Afghanistan. You see them to the film through the women that in the news network. That's who these women are. That's what they want to return to. So if you can advocate for them in your nation and not accept the fact that it's done with in Afghanistan, that would be great.
Wow. That's, yeah, I hope so. We can do this for the Afghan women and for the Afghan girls. That was my next question. The organization TERRE DES FEMMES, which organizes our film festival, is committed to an equal and self-determined life for girls and women worldwide. And what can we do here, for example, in Germany, to give support for Afghan women and girls, in your opinion, concretely?
I think there's a, I think that now we live in many ways in a sort of a borderless kind of world, if you think about it. Like if we think about how we live on social media and how we share content, right? So you can all, whichever nation you're in, you can always give your voice, right? You can always share those posts of news about what's happening inside Afghanistan, and not just news about the Taliban, for instance, but news about those women that we see who are speaking up, those, things like that. Continuously, I think it's important to shine a light on the bravery and the power and the courage of those women who do wish to speak up and stand up for Afghan women, whether they're inside Germany or outside of Germany or inside Afghanistan. I think uniting with them and being solid allies is essential. And mostly because they're the ones that are on the ground fighting for all those little girls that are behind them, that are coming into this world hopeful. And so if we can just ally with them and side with them and let them know that we're hearing their voices, then all those men who don't want to hear their voices will have no chance of silencing them. I think that's one of the ways.
So we can find them on social media, maybe.
Yeah.
And
there's lots of women for Afghan women organizations. There's lots of that report on ongoing events inside there. And there's also lots of fierce activists who are now displaced and scattered all around the world, who continue to speak for women in Afghanistan on there. And then the other thing that I think is also very important, it's let's not forget how far they came. Let's not just make Afghan women as the women who are just under the blue burqas and accept that that's their fate. Right? Because that's not good. If we just make that assumption that that's who they are and that's who they were and that's who they will be, then there's no point. So we need to remember that, oh, wait a minute, there were these women, they were journalists, they were reporting, they were living somewhat comfortable lives, they were parliament members, they were teachers, they were nurses, they were doctors, they had some freedom of choices. Then that's also, so it's also about reframing the narrative of who these women are, right?
Yeah. So thank you so much for this, sharing with me. So,
No
Brishkay,
problem. I hope you have a wonderful festival. You guys do such great work, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for including the film. Really, thank you. And thank you so much from Shikufa, from Halida, from Nazanin, from Firishta, and from Najwa. They're amazing women, and they are fierce activists for women too.
So thank you. I wish you all the best, and I hope many people will watch the movie at our film festival in the cinema or online.
Yes, and
thank you.